Fieli is passionate about contemporary, well-designed furniture with a modern and international spin on classical traditions. The modern and traditional tastes merge to create an unexpected classic style with quality and luxurious comfort. Each Fieli piece is manufactured with timeless style and pure craftsmanship. Fieli's collection will transform your home into an inspired one. After all, what's life without style? Fieli, a touch of distinction.
Is this thing on? Assalamu alaikum. My name is Riaad Moosa and I want to tell you guys a secret. Don't tell anyone. But on the 30th of April, I'm going to be on a new talk show called Muslink.
What's this about a secret, Mr. Moosa? Are you planning to have a show without me, Dr. Moosa? Because if you are, you're going to end up in the ER.
Okay, you can come to Dr. Moosa. Just keep it on the down low.
Abracadabra, simsalabim! If the two of you think you're going to do a show without me, Magic Moosa, I'm going to make both of you disappear.
Okay, fine. Both of you can come. Now it's going to be broadcast on Deen TV.
Deen TV?
Man, guys. And Radio 786.
786?
Come, guys. It's an exclusive event, man. And it's going to be on at the CTICC on the 30th of April from 7 a.m. And it's called Muslink.
Muslink. Muslink.
Muslink is a TV talk show recorded live at the Cape Town International Convention Centre from the 30th of April 2015. For ticket sales, corporate bookings and sponsorship opportunities, call 021-830-5490 or visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/MuslinkSA. Muslink, celebrating Muslim excellence.
You know, to be a Protea firstly means that you're representing 60 million people.
Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome to this first episode of Muslink, celebrating Muslim excellence. Now, this is the very first episode. Riaad Moosa is the host of the show. I'll be interviewing him today to find out more about his life and how that's all happened. So I'd like you to put your hands together at home and in the auditorium today for comedian, medical doctor, and magician, Riaad Moosa. I'm surprised you made such a undramatic entrance.
Did you want me to appear?
Yes,
in a
because
puff of
normally you
smoke?
do. Simsalabim and you're there. You know, Riaad, it's been a long journey for you. Where did it all start? I mean, we know you as the comedian, as the medical doctor, and then I found out recently a magician too. But before we get into all of that, we need to find that starting point.
Well, I've always wanted to be a doctor, because both my parents are doctors. Many people in the audience know my family. My father's orthopedic surgeon and a hand surgeon. And my mother is a general practitioner. So for all my life, I wanted to be a medical doctor. For all my life. And my dad
and
always,
you've achieved that.
Yeah, well, my dad always used to say to me, you can do whatever you want to in this world, son, as long as you become an orthopedic surgeon first. So okay. No pressure over there.
Okay, so was it an orthodox background then?
Well, I mean, sort of, my family is very studious, hardworking, and I just saw my father. He's a perpetual workaholic. I just see him working constantly. So I guess I emulated that. I don't know if it's the genetic thing or if it's actually social influence and actually nurture that facilitated my working hard, but I always used to do that. But at the same time, I always liked performing. Now, I'm a quiet guy, generally.
That's hard to believe, I must admit.
But people always think, but I am actually people always look at my parents and they go like, how did you guys do that thing? How did you guys, but because I'm by nature, I'm quiet, but I like performing for some reason. So when I'm in a stage setting, I like telling jokes. I've always tried to be humorous. And that came out when I was a bit younger. I used to impersonate people.
So this was in the mirror in the bathroom?
With a brush and stuff like that.
It does start that way, yes.
Okay, I'm going to be honest, that did happen. But I mean, I'm not alone. I know some people in the audience.
No, they're still doing it, yes.
But it did happen, but it doesn't happen anymore. I stopped last week. So it's all fine. So it started like that, but then the trajectory is that I wanted to be a medical doctor, and it just so happened that, you know, in Standard 7 at South Peninsula High School, I had experience with a friend of mine, like a dialogue and interaction. A friend of mine, Abu Bakr Bray, that sort of changed everything.
Yes, now I know before the show you spoke about Abu Bakr Bray,
yes,
and how that has become a defining moment for you,
yes,
in terms of your way forward. I think it's important for our viewers that you actually go into that,
yes,
that episode there that happened.
Well, at that point, obviously, I always wanted to be a doctor, and it was the same thing. But I was always sort of flirting with performing at times, you know, maybe like school plays, things of that nature, or for the family at certain, and then the rest of the time, like studying. That was my life. And then Abu Bakr Bray came to me with a pamphlet for the College of Magic. Right, Standard 7, just remember when it was still called Standard 7, right, he came to me, like, and he said, I want to do this, Riaad. I've dreamt of doing magic for my whole life, but like David Copperfield magic, this is what I want to do. I want to levitate, I want to make, you know, doves appear, you know, do that type of thing. I want to do it.
And you found, right, there was an interest.
And he was like, you join me, brother, you and me, we're going to go to the College of Magic, and we're going to make it happen. So I spoke to my parents. This is sort of an extracurricular activity on a Saturday, you know, instead of soccer, you go to the College of Magic. And I ended up going.
I don't see it as that usual, within the context of our community.
Yes,
but, okay.
Well, I ended up going, and Abu Bakr didn't end up going. Because his parents said magic was haram.
Okay.
And so today he's in IT.
Right. Yeah, okay, there is some magic involved with that.
No, but obviously you want to say that, you know, people, because the association is that it's real magic. It's not real magic.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that, because look, within the context of our community now, when you talk about magic, you're talking about all kinds of funny things.
Yes.
The David Blaine and the I don't know what they're busy
now, you
using.
think that David Blaine has got a gene working for him?
Yes, I do.
That's what he thinks.
Doesn't he?
A lot of people think it's not like that. It's purely tricks. It's purely, you know,
no, man, you guys are hiding something as
manipulation.
magicians.
We are not.
Right.
It's all tricks.
It's all tricks.
Yes, and it's for entertainment purposes.
Okay, and when Chris Angel goes off the building across and levitates?
That's tricks.
Tricks. I want to see this after the show.
I'm
outside from the convention
real.
center.
Okay, now I can't do those things, but I know for
okay, but it's tricks.
That is tricks.
Okay, so you go into the magic now, and how does that go? You actually pass with flying colors?
Well, that is weird. There's not many I'm Cape Muslim, and you know, from an Indian and Cape Malay background, and there aren't many sort of Indian magicians out there. First of all, people don't know about it in Cape Town. I say I'm a magician, and they go, really, what instrument you play? Right. Banjo. Yeah, I like a banjo. Ding ding. No, magician. Like, and there are not many Indian magicians. Like, okay, there are, but they're called accountants. They.
Oh yes, yeah, you're right. Yes. Yeah, you're right.
They make your taxable income disappear, you know.
So now you go and you qualify as a magician. Like I see this Hogwarts kind of thing. You're standing there and you're capped and you come with a wand out.
No, it's first of all, also there's the racial dynamic in there. This is the first time where I got exposed to so-called white people, or people previously advantaged or still advantaged, but okay.
I don't know, let's go there.
I'm like
Yeah,
trying
the
to
thing is a
use
bit
the
confusing.
PC sort of term. And this is the first experience where I got exposed, because I went to South Peninsula High, right? And there were no people like, white folks. Okay, they were, but I mean, they just looked that way, but they were
not really.
the guy that, in every Cape Flats high school has a person called like Boera, they always, it's not a good term to use today, but I mean, this is how.
Yeah, it's based on appearance.
This is what they did was, I want to preface that I don't endorse that term. I'm just communicating the reality, and I'm saying in inverted commas for any people who want to blog and complain about it.
Yes.
It's my first, so they used to like pronounce my name like Riaad, and I'm like, who are they talking about?
So you knew.
So it's my first experience with that, and every Saturday we used to go and we learned a lot of other, well-known personalities were at the College of Magic, interestingly enough. Stuart Taylor was with me at the College of Magic. We also started in Stand 7, and he's a comedian now. And Conrad Koch, who's a ventriloquist, and he's the person behind Chester Missing. I don't know if you know from the late night news.
So Riaad,
you got on Steve Hoffmeyer recently.
Yeah. You got this colorful background. It's Standard 7. You're deciding to do medicine. You went into magic, and now you get to matric and that kind of thing, or I think they call it grade 12 now.
Yes.
And you decide you're going to medical school.
Yes.
All these things are happening.
Well, at that point, I was having doubts about what I wanted to do.
So the conflict started.
It started there, because I found this, this thing that I'm really enamored by. But, I've always wanted to be a doctor. So there was the conflict, the seeds of conflict was sown at that point. But I got into medicine. So I did medicine.
I must admit something. When we started meeting and talking about various things, you didn't look like the kind of guy that was the study kind of guy, because you're joking and you're fooling around all the time, and I just didn't see that.
Now, this is what you see. Everybody thinks like I'm a mischievous.
But doesn't that look mischievous?
Right, I know it looks like that, but people who know me growing up, they will say, I don't understand how you did this. The only time I would sort of come alive in terms of doing my performing is during orals,
so you found your
presentations.
space in that?
The rest of the time I prefer to be quiet, listening to what other people say, and I've just sort of almost grown into this persona. So I got into medicine, and then I wanted to be a doctor, and I continued on that path while I was just doing birthday parties for kids' birthday parties.
And that sort of thing is. Now, I know a lot of our viewers are confused about the fact that you actually live in Cape Town.
Yes.
Everybody thinks that you're from Johannesburg, and I also thought that. Do you get that all the time?
Yes. This is since the movie Material, and I don't understand.
Footsburg.
Like, how do do I sound like a Joburg guy?
Yes, you do.
How do I sound like a Joburg guy?
You sound like a Joburg guy.
I don't.
I said that the first time I met you.
Look, my voice is doing all of this thing, the thing.
No, but you use some
and I don't
Capetonian.
say, I say car.
You don't say car.
I don't say car.
Yeah, but you use.
Yeah. Hey, want to park the car?
Yeah, right. Yes, I think
now,
that's
you see now, if I put it together, you want to park the car.
I can see that, yes. But when I knew you were Cape Townian, when you used the word mos.
Mos,
mos.
Now, what does mos mean? I don't know.
I don't know. That's something interesting. Riaad, we're going to an ad break shortly. I think that when we come back from the break, we're just going to discuss a little bit more about that background before we really get into the conflicting interest. Well, that's Riaad Moosa starting off the discussion about his life, where it all started as a medical doctor, the conflict you're going to hear about later on, and then his life as it is today. We're going off to an ad break now.
Fieli is passionate about contemporary, well-designed furniture with a modern and international spin on classical traditions. The modern and traditional tastes merge to create an unexpected classic style with quality and luxurious comfort. Each Fieli piece is manufactured with timeless style and pure craftsmanship. Fieli's collection will transform your home into an inspired one. After all, what's life without style? Fieli, a touch of distinction.
Welcome back from the break. Muslink, the show that celebrates Muslim excellence, and that's what we're doing with Riaad Moosa. He's the actual host of the show, but I don't know why I'm doing your job today, Riaad.
No, you're the man. Faizal, you're the man. I'm taking a lot of tips.
Just before the break, we spoke about where it all started and that sort of thing. And we looked at a very rich history in terms of trying to take that education component and putting that out there with an entertainment component. So we find that part of you starting to manifest. How did that happen? I know I watched the movie The Fly once, where there was this guy that transitioned into a fly and then his ear was falling off and all that kind of thing. But I'm sure that didn't happen. How did it happen?
No, it's almost like people think it's extremely strange. Now, the way I can put it is that, put it best, is that I followed the path of least resistance. And I was lucky
It's like
enough,
a Gandhi kind of thing?
Well, I was lucky enough to, not, to be allowed to follow certain instincts or innate feelings by my folks. So people always talk about my movie material. Was my father like Ibrahim Kassim, Ibrahim Kaif? No, my father is completely
You know what my thoughts on the movie was? That when I saw the movie, my first thoughts was that was your life. That was your father, and you were forced into the family business.
Yes.
And that was, I think, the perception that everybody got.
A lot of people.
Are you saying that that's not actually the case?
Nothing like that. My father was, he allowed you to do what you wanted to do as long as you worked hard. So if you saw a lot of drive within you, he didn't sort of negate or challenge innate aspirations. Same with my mother. I mean, she also nurtured my performing side. She always thought, whoa, this is something that's an innate feeling that the child needs to want to express, and they celebrated that in some way, So that was there, but at the same time, I was going to be a doctor. And, at the same time, I don't know how I'm here, because I've never ever thought that I'm going to be doing comedy. I never thought I'm going to be doing movies. I never ever thought that. It's just, I actually followed the flow. That's what happened.
There's an interesting dynamic about that, and that's most people in the fraternity of what we do in show business. I know that somewhere along the line, you know that, and you have this feeling that you might be taking stages and you might be doing something in the public space.
Yes.
Some with the intention of effecting change or whatever it might be. Are you saying that did not cross your mind at all, that you're going to sign autographs one day?
None of that at all. How it happened is like, I started med school and I was doing just sort of little, magic shows at kids' birthday parties to just make extra pocket money. And I don't know if some people in the audience actually had me. I used to be called Musini, the magician.
Musini? Where did that come from?
And it was kids' birthday parties, and it used to be fun and so on. Every magician had that ini.
I know, but that's a name that sounds like you're working with a jinn or something.
And get away from that. There's no jinns.
It's going to take me a while to lose that one.
So then I did 4 years of med school, and then I took a break. And my father said, it's fine, you can take a break, because I wanted to actually explore magic for that year. Now, everybody was worried, is he giving up medicine? No, I'm not giving up medicine, I'm just taking a break. But in true sort of form of my father, say, okay, we're going to take a break, then you need to study something else. So during that year, I went to Upper Campus, UCT Upper Campus. I studied Xhosa, Afrikaans, and economics.
That's interesting.
Right? So this is what I'm going to do in my break year. And during that year, I actually found stand-up comedy. That is what happened. At the same time, I started sort of hanging around at sort of comedy venues around UCT. And there were certain societies that would put on comedy shows. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. And why I was drawn to it also is because, like, I come from a family, the Jaffers have a good sense of humor. Like, my grandfather, Haji Hassan Jaffer, is well known for having I always used to watch him tell a joke and then leave. That was MO, that was his modus operandi. He would like, people would hang on his every word and then he'd tell a joke and then he's out.
Leaves.
Right? So the humor comes from that. And then I started doing stand-up comedy. And interestingly enough, I don't know if this motivated me to do it, but it was also at the same time that there were the Planet Hollywood bombings, right? At that point.
I remember that.
Now,
yes.
all of a sudden, my image of myself as a Muslim was challenged. All of a sudden, in the media, people are talking about Muslims in a certain way. And, that sort of challenged my identity, and it challenged many people's identities about like, what's going on here? So I think, I never really thought about it, but I think that also informed the comedy that I did at that time, challenging like, talking about ourselves to other people, talking myself to other people and going, we're not like, this image that people are portraying.
The stereotype
Muslims,
was becoming a problem.
right, is not how we are. So it started that. So a lot of my comedy was about that at that point. And then I just did it. I went back to med school and I started doing bigger and bigger shows over a period of time. 5th year medicine, 6th year medicine. I qualified, then I went to Johannesburg to do my internship. And it was that year that I was doing shows all over Johannesburg in bigger venues. We were doing the comedy jams and so on, and I was sort of developing a name in terms of the comedy.
Yes, we are back in Johannesburg, man. That's great. I get to experience the Joburg Indians, and you all act exactly the same. When you meet the Joburg Indian in the street, every one of you goes, "You must come home. Riaad, you must come home." But you don't give an address, no phone number, no contact details. Just sitting in a car, you must come home.
But also, interestingly enough, I was also challenged with the dilemmas, starting to confront the dilemmas that I have with being a comedian. Like, for example, I did a show.
That's the component I'm looking for. That's a conflict
Yes.
That we spoke about.
Yes.
Now, I think many people have those conflicts in their lives where they have multiple facets. And when one looks at this Muslink TV ad, I find the doctor, the magician, and Riaad Moosa as a person. That conflict, is that the conflict that you're referring to?
A conflict just, we also dramatized it in the movie. We'll probably extrapolate this a little bit more later on. But this was the seed of it. I did a show once. It was at the Armchair Theatre in Observatory. And interestingly enough, my my grandmother, they had a house on top of the, which used to be, I think, a bank before, but now it's the Armchair Theatre. And this was where I started doing comedy. And we were part of the Cape Comedy Collective, which was this new group of comedians that started at that time. And I did a show, and I wasn't really worried about sponsorship. And the show was sponsored by alcohol brand. And I wasn't even worried about that. I'm just going to go stand there, do my jokes. And so pamphlets were given out where Riaad Moosa is going to perform, right? And there's big, alcohol branding sponsorship. And I didn't even know about that. They were organizing that. I was just doing the jokes. And I had this, my grandfather saw this, and he had a heart-to-heart with me. He said, I obviously enjoy jokes, but this is something you need to dissociate yourself from. You need to be very aware of how you project yourself, So from that point on, I was always trying to negotiate that. And to a certain extent, I would still go to the comedy clubs, but then I'd just do a show, and then I'd leave.
Okay, so was it about finding that balance in terms of, I wanted to do this, we live in a society that has all of this happening, and it's about finding that middle point as a Muslim within the context of that society.
Within the context of that, I had this need to do comedy and express myself comedically. These were in these sorts of venues. And we do, you know, we had dramatized it in the movie material.
I was going to allude to that. I saw that,
that.
yes.
Yeah, we can chat about that
yes.
later.
Riaad, we're going to go to a segment break. When we come back, we are going to discuss the deeper aspects of the philosophy behind some of the things that motivate you and some of the things that we see happening after that conflict, and then how we as Muslims deal with certain things within today's time. We're going to that segment break. We're going to be back with you right after the break. Welcome back from the break. I think it's been an interesting one, and I know for our studio audience they had some breakfast and that sort of thing, and we're all back and ready to give you the second segment with Riaad Moosa as the guest. Riaad, welcome back. Now it's Muslink, celebrating Muslim excellence. But you know, the funny thing is, during the break, people kind of chatted to us and I picked up some things. Before we move on into all those philosophical issues that we want to go to, something interesting. Someone highlighted to me that issue about the jinn and the magician story. The jinn put you under a spell so that you didn't know you're working with the jinn. Do you get the whole thing? But you can't defend it because you don't know.
So I don't know.
You don't know, yes.
Okay,
but
then
I'm now
if you're a
informing
politician, I can neither confirm nor deny. But all I can tell you, I never was, you know, that genie of the lamp,
yes.
That's the genie. Like, you know, I was never Aladdin and there was like a lamp and I went like this.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden,
and
I never had that experience.
Yes, no, just a little bit about that magician again. That thing on the ad that you do, that simsalabim with a wand and all of that.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Simsalabim?
Yes.
It's a Cape Townian thing, no?
No, man.
No, there's another thing, no. I said no, so now you know.
So I know you Cape Townian.
You know most.
Yes, I know no. Yes, I know. Right. So, you know.
See? The proof.
The interesting thing is, so here we got this Cape Townian. He's gone to med school and you're out there and you transitioned into becoming a comedian. So things have now generally moved on. In actual fact, I met a doctor now in the audience that said that you are inspiring to him because he's a doctor, and I asked him, do you want to become a comedian? But he's about 60, and I thought that's not going to happen now. You know, so I'm sure viewers at home are like wanting to follow that similar path. And so we get into the philosophies of Riaad Moosa. We understand the conflicts, and everybody's got those conflicts going on. They're trying to do something inside of them, and outside the world expects them to be and do something.
Yes.
Dr. Phil speaks about it in his book. You knew I'm going to bring up Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil says that there's a book called Self Matters, and he says that we are born in a certain way and a certain person, and then we get out in life and society puts on these layers on us. So they tell us, your hair needs to be in this style, you must drive this car, you need to speak this way, and that sort of thing. So we put on all these layers. But if you strip all of those layers away, you find somebody deep down that is not the person that is projecting to be. Now that's part of your conflict somewhere, am I right, Dr. Phil's good?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
We wear masks, that's true. And also, well, a lot about comedy also is being honest. You know, talking about yourself in as honest as possible a way as you can. Because then people will identify with those various difficulties that you have. So comedy does sort of allow the opportunity to tackle those things. But then also we were able to dramatize like some of my conflicts, for example, in the movie material. Now, although it's not exactly my life, all of those conflicts I have experienced to a certain extent, but not from my family specifically, but from society. And one of the things, for example, we touched on is the fact that there's association with alcohol in those venues. Now, from that point on, like for example, in the movie material, Ibrahim Kaif speaks to Qasim and he says, "You can make us laugh, Qasim, but that is not our world." And I'm like, I'm not making it my world. You have started already, my boy, by lying to us. Why did you lie? Well, that's what you told me. I'm not going to do it. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm asking you not to do it. Don't do it, okay? Okay, so we dramatized that,
Yes, I remember the line, yes.
Like in the film. Kasim still goes and he still performs, in these haram venues. And how we tried not to preach in the film, but we tried to show as much truth as possible. So you don't know, everybody, this is not the right way to do things. You talk about the difficulties that exist in reality. So now, some people would say, like Ibrahim Kaif or Kasim's father was too hard, right? And other people would go, no, he's right, because this is not something that he wants his son to do, right? And it's not consistent with being a Muslim, right? And then you've got this other viewpoint that comes across. Now, how we challenged my personal view, they're taking it too seriously, just telling jokes and stuff. He's not drinking, he's just going out there and telling jokes. Now, we challenged that was, there's a scene where they douse me with beer as a sort of initiation ritual. Once I perform on this venue, like in the movie, like the other comedians douse me with alcohol.
Yes,
as
so
like
you're
a sort
part of the
because
team
they
now.
see it euphorically, it's just positive, rite of passage, ha 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 ha, right? Muslims know, what's going on over here? Even my grandmother, she asked me after the film, was that real? Was that real?
Did she really ask you that?
She asked me, was that the real beer in the thing? And I had to say, no, we made a special thing where we put the cover.
But you really made a special thing, eh?
Yes, we did.
When a comic makes his debut at the Attic, spray him full of beer. Yeah, guys? Yeah, full of beer. It's like an initiation, come celebration, come rite of passage. No,
guys.
Listen, don't worry. You're a Muslim guy, we know. You don't drink, and it wouldn't be appropriate. It wouldn't be appropriate.
It's haram.
But then we thought about it, and we thought, well, initiation, is it supposed to be appropriate in the first place? Is it?
Not really.
Hey, boy, who cares?
There was an extra scene in that movie because initially Craig wrote it as that, it goes straight from the getting doused with alcohol to going home. And I'm like, who would go home if you're being doused by alcohol? You need to sterilize yourself in some way, get all this hammer off you, this is disgusting, and we had this whole scene where like Joey and I were in the bathroom and I was washing my shirt with the dispenser and all of that. We were driving out there trying to dry the whole thing in the Beetle that we were driving, the Lemon as they called it, and then I come home and I get confronted by my father in that very dramatic scene where he scowls me out like anything. Scowls me out. Here we go, another one. Yeah. Cape Townian vibes.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, I didn't hear. Yes, you're right. Yes.
Yeah, who says
I think
Joburg? They scowl me out. No, that's more Durban. Sorry, I'm not really. But anyways, so if you look at that scene, if you watch material again, you'll see that my shirt is actually crumpled up and there's a couple of buttons loose, because there were two scenes that we actually cut out of the film, because it actually just worked in that setting, but that's in terms of the movie. So now, I digress the whole thing, I'm going on, I always ramble, but the only thing that I wanted to get, the important thing I want to get across is that this whole dousing with alcohol scene, it came from an experience that I had with a friend of mine, Asif Hamza. It's always these friends.
Yes.
Asif, I convinced him to come to a comedy show with me.
This is the real life scenario.
This is real life. I was doing medicine. I said to Asif, come with me to do the show and to watch the show. I performed, everything was fine. Afterwards, we're chatting to a couple of comedians, David Levinson. He did a joke where he had to have some liquid in his mouth for the punchline. I'm not going to explain the punchline because this is not the format or forum for explaining the punchline. But he had to have some liquid in his mouth, and he took a swig of beer, right? And he made the punchline. Everybody laughed. He laughed, and he spat all the beer on Asif Hamza. And Asif was standing over
Blasphemous,
there.
Eh?
Yes, and I had to convince him to be there. So we also talk about, so this leads me to, if you are going to put yourselves in certain situations, you can say you're not going to drink or you're not going to do whatever, but if you're in that situation, things can happen. So we did dramatize that in the movie to show also the difficulties, the consequences of doing certain things. And we just tried to keep it as real as possible so that people can sort of identify with the conflicts and try and sort of hopefully stimulate dialogue.
Yes. I'm going to ask you a very frank question.
Yeah.
And that is that you're alluding a lot to this idea that there's these personalities within everybody.
Yeah.
And you're talking a lot about the alcohol and all those
Yes.
kind of things.
Well, it's a big thing in our community, a very,
yes,
very big thing.
yes, I
It's
get that.
integral. Like I remember walking past in Grossip in Wynberg, like there was this alcohol establishment, a drop-in, Ottery Road, Wynberg. My cousin and I, when we walked past the thing, we used to go, we walked past it and breathing.
so you
I don't know
can't
where
even-
that came from. Did anybody else do that over here? But I mean, we did it. I don't
So
know.
you can't even breathe the air in.
Like, I mean, we just did that. I don't know if somebody, my grand, told us to do
No,
that,
of
but
course.
that's what we did. That's how we
You had
grew
a
up.
frank question. And I know that when we did the pre-briefing for the show, you said, be as frank as you want to ask me anything.
ask me anything. I'm an open book.
Right. Okay. So you're exposed to this world.
Yes.
Like there's things going on. And I know that when I started in media, we had that same issue where people, they were a bit reluctant because media is something you see these guys hanging out on Long Street and all they're doing is smoking a pipe and, you know, Steven Spielberg walks past and they're doing funny things and, you know, that's what media looked like. Was there a day in your life that you thought, I might just try something?
Oh, try things.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
like.
And okay, it seems like you're going to say yes. And what were they?
Now the truth of the matter is, this is not a lie, right? I've never tried any. I haven't even smoked.
You never smoked.
I'm like a proper like.
No, but you never said you never smoked what? Because
I
you
never
said you never
smoked a
smoked.
cigarette.
A cigarette. Oh,
You know, I mean, the heroin already
all
took
those
so
things
much
you're
of my
busy.
time.
Yes, of course. No, of course. So the other stuff were too weak for you.
And
of
the tick
course.
is the problem because tick is fine, but I mean, then after a while, you know,
Yeah.
the house is in darkness, but not because of ESCOM. There's no light bulbs
No, of course, yes. Yeah.
in the house.
Yeah, I don't know. My staff has a problem with that. They think I'm taking grandpas like that.
You
I
are.
don't. I don't know where they come up with these stories.
know.
But you know, Riaad, the funny thing is that when you look at yourself as a
Yes.
personality and you've entered into mainstream media in South Africa, and I think you could be known in many parts of the world now, you maintain that something special which we found about you, and that is that ordinary man approach. I saw you down in the auditorium early on, and most personalities won't easily go down there and just talk and that sort of thing. How do you balance all of that? And then taking that, and I remember when we started the hashtag campaign, you put a picture of your family there. So there's that component, you're the real Riaad Moosa, and that's what I'm trying to find.
First of all, I'm also two-minded about that because I realize you need to realize the dangers of this industry that I'm in and that we are in. Okay, first of all, it's associating ourselves with certain things. So the way I mitigate influence, like let's say I go to a comedy venue in the evening, right? Which I don't have to do now because I can have my shows and there's no alcohol. It's fine, you know. But starting out, the way I mitigated that is to leave immediately after the show. But that's not me judging anybody who's not doing that. It's just this is how I mitigated the influencing factors. That's what I did. And then, you know, when you start to become more well-known, people treat you funny. Like there's an aspect of celebrity when people, you're walking in the mall and people like, that Riaad Moosa. Looks so much shorter in real life, eh? Okay, I'm going to talk to him, okay. Riaad, can I have your autograph, please? But I don't have a page. Can you sign here?
With a look.
And just write my name, David. Just there. And you like, I'm going to David. I think this is haram. I don't know what I'm doing over here. You know, so people start treating you like in Durban, people just walk by you like they're in on a secret. Like,
Are you serious?
you him, aren't you? You him, right? You Riaad Moosa, right? You Riaad. So you get seen in a certain way. Now, the reality is anything celebrity is not real. We have our teaching in terms of idolatry. All of that is not real. What I only see as real is if I'm on stage and I am able to make someone laugh and forget their problems and relax.
So the rock star vibe of pulling up with a limousine and the whole thing going wild and all
I
of that.
don't think it's good to indulge those things.
Correct, yes.
You know, from our teaching, Islamically. Like, I mean, idolatry is like, I mean, that was the thing. You know,
Yes.
don't do that, you know. So I am in a situation where people do look at me in a certain way.
You are my idol.
Hey?
Like, I mean, like
No, but
really.
No, but now there you know.
Yes.
No, but now I'm trying to make a philosophical thing. You know, like,
That's what I'm saying.
no, but it's like that. So,
Yes.
and that's the reality of life. So this is what I deal with, but I need to be aware of this and don't indulge that. I think I'm all special now because like I got like 150,000 followers on Twitter. No, like, I mean, no. Now see, now it's stupid. Like, that's really stupid. I mean, it's cool so you can affect the world positively. Like, I have to have the self-reflection and understanding that all of this is not real, but I see anything that I do in entertainment that alleviates difficulty or just, you know, helps people relax. That is real. But all that other stuff is just part of the
it's very interesting you're saying that.
facade.
It's time for that ad break. And we're going to when we come back, we're going to talk a bit about that way forward for you and some motivation from you, that sort of thing. But this thing bothers me a bit that you're saying not real because I wonder what influence that gene has over you because he's making you believe lots of things that's going on. Now, you're the host of Muslink to come.
Yes.
And I'm happy to be just inaugurating the show. And so I want to see how you're going to take us to that ad break, but just don't take us for a joke.
Okay, which camera do I look into?
Let me see which camera we're going to look into. I think it's that one there. So we'll go into an ad break
That
there.
one?
Yes,
okay,
my
now
camera.
come sit here.
Okay, let's swap seats. I didn't do anything related to alcohol, by the way, while I'm sitting on the side. I just want to tell you.
Okay, but I was being honest. We're going to pay a couple of bills, but we'll be back with more personal information about myself, Riaad Moosa, and hopefully more questions from you after the break. Come back, everybody.
Vieli is passionate about contemporary, well-designed furniture with a modern and international spin on classical traditions. The modern and traditional tastes merge to create an unexpected classic style with quality and luxurious comfort. Each Vieli piece is manufactured with timeless style and pure craftsmanship. Vieli's collection will transform your home into an inspired one. After all, what's life without style? Vieli, a touch of distinction.
Welcome back to Muslink, the show that celebrates Muslim excellence. Riaad Moosa is here, the first episode, the inaugural episode. Riaad, welcome back. It's the last section, whatever you want to call it. Now, we've had an entertaining time with you talking about your history, how that happened, and some of your philosophies. I want to, in this final segment, go into the motivations. A lot of people see you as a motivational, I'm not going to use the word idol at this stage. I understand what your philosophy is around that. But they see you as this person that has managed to deal with that balance of being themselves and being this doctor, which is normally a profiled position in society and that sort of thing. And you've created that balance, and I think that's exemplary for many youth and people out there.
But I don't feel I've created that balance.
But you have.
I've got like gray hair, dude, from trying.
No, but
I'm trying.
I know it's died for the show, but I mean the point is that I don't see it, you know. The thing is you've created that balance and it's happened. And I think that there's a motivation from you that goes out to society, and it's not only the youth, because we don't only talk to the youth, but everyone out there wants to be something and somebody, and they want to explore different things in life, whatever that may be. What's the motivation for them?
Well, I just hope that I have, like, if I just maybe use myself as a parent for my kids, and my approach to that. Obviously, like instilling a strong sense of identity Islamically, My wife specifically, Farzana, that's very, 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 very important.
I noticed. I must tell our viewers something, that every meeting I had with you, every planning session I had with you, I've never had someone come into my office and run out every 5 minutes to sit on the phone.
With the kids.
Yes.
No, because like
And I actually like that. I thought, he's real.
Well, it's difficult. Like I've got three kids now. I mean, I've got a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, and now just a couple of, like 7 months ago, I became a father again. So I got, a third child. My wife doesn't know yet, though.
Okay, right. I hope you.
That's a joke, eh? Just in case.
No, before it gets out there. So basically, someone like you does serve as a motivation to many people. Although you might not see it that way, because I noticed that you don't have that
I don't
aspect.
try and indulge those things.
Correct, yes, but it's important for you to tell our viewers exactly some motivation related to how to achieve your goals by keeping, I think some people say, reach for the stars, but keep your feet on the ground.
Yeah, the way I just be honest with and know what your aspirations are. That's very, very important. And understanding your priorities, what they truly are, and then living your life with patience. Okay? It's very complicated. First of all, like if you want to strive for something, you must not be scared of failure. And I think that is an important concept for everyone to internalize, because failure is just a pathway to success. Because there's no person who's achieved any form of success without failing. Now, I always quote Michael Jordan over here. Now, guys wouldn't know Michael Jordan, most people. Michael Jordan is one of the best basketball players of all time, if not the best basketball player. Now, he's been well known for hitting, and it's strange for me of my background talking about a basketball player, but I used to love playing basketball. I don't know if anybody saw some of my videos on Muslink where I was doing all of that. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah. I was dreaming of being Michael Jordan when I was young, idolizing him.
There can't be another personality in this.
But anyways, right, he used to be well known for, as the clock is going down, with a fraction of a second remaining, right, and then being behind by a couple of points, he used to shoot a shot at the buzzer and win the game. Very, very, very often it become associated with something amazing. This guy is doing this. Now, there was one ad where he spoke about, it's interesting that I'm quoting a Nike ad over here. You know, it's weird. I feel two-minded, ambivalent about doing that, but I'm looking at the message, so don't look at the source of it. Michael Jordan talks about all the shots that he's missed. Right? He said, I've missed so many free throws. I missed so many two-pointers. I missed so many three-pointers. And I missed so many buzzer-beating shots. And they tally up all the numbers of shots that he's missed. And he says, I failed over and over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed.
Very interesting.
You know, and obviously coming from him, that stuck with me as a young person. You know, and then obviously you read about it and you try and internalize certain philosophies. You read about it in different, you know, on different platforms or from different sources, besides a Nike ad. But this is something that I've always tried to do, and not being scared of failure, because a lot of people, that holds them back. Or if they want to do something, then a family member or something, you're going to do this, you'll never do that. I don't think it's important, it's a good thing to foster that type of thing. But at the same time, if you look at my experience, I was always very prudent and very cautious about doing what I'm doing. Like I never had that blowout with my parents, right, when to become a comedian. I never confronted them, Mom, Dad, I just want to be funny. And then stormed out, you know, you know, like window open, you know, convertible, you know, went to go live in Joburg, sleep out in my car, you know, and then made it one day. It was never like that. I was like a doctor, like I'm working, studying hard, doing medicine, and then like in my first year of internship, I was working fully as an intern, And then I would do sometimes like a 36-hour shift, and then sleep a little bit, and then go do a stand-up comedy show the night, and then come back the next morning, like for ward rounds, you know. At one of those shows, Ronnie Apteker,
Yes.
who was the guy who who came up with the concept of material movie. He came to me one day at one of those shows, said, Riaad, you're a Muslim doctor, comedian, we should develop a script. And like, I was like, what are you talking about? I got ward rounds tomorrow, what do you mean,
Yes.
right? So it was just hard work. I was doing this other thing. It wasn't like, I think that is a very important factor about working hard to achieve your goals.
Do you think do you think a big component of that is doing what you want to do, and that's your happy space? When you do what you want to do and you're in your space, it's about finding that space.
Then it's not work is not work. And it's important also, like in terms of the philosophy, if money is the primary goal, you know, we get lucky at this point in terms of my generation that we can speak about that. You know, we don't need to think specifically about money. Obviously, it's different, like for my father's generation coming out who had nothing and had to work and achieve certain things and provide for his family. But now we talk about the general concept of not focusing on money as a primary goal. Money will be secondary. The primary goal is have a vision for what you'd want to do, right? And then from that, you know, you'll be able to support yourself and your family. But obviously, like, this is me speaking as a person who's, you know, been provided everything in life by my folks, you know, so I have the luxury of having these highfalutin philosophies, whereas I know for a fact that he didn't, you know.
Yes, correct, yes.
But I try and focus on just the vision and hard work, that's the main thing, and not being afraid of failure.
Of course, just to tail that off before we go to the question and answer session with the audience, I know that I recently watched this clip with Oprah, and she says that there is no such thing as mistakes. It's just this thing. She doesn't say what it is, but she says it's this thing that is leading you to the ultimate goal. Yes. So that means you walk along this path, there's something happens to you, but it happens because it's rooting you to where you need to be. Yeah. But ultimately, you find yourself in that space where you need to be, but it's because of the mistakes that you made. Many business people watching the program will tell you that they probably got robbed, they got this, and that happened to them and the other, but that made them who they are today. Yes. So there is no such thing as mistakes, and I take it that's where
So if you see that also, it's the same, goes back to submitting to the will, right?
Correct.
Right? So if something bad happens, like you say Alhamdulillah, if something good happens, you say Alhamdulillah. We just say these things, but do we actually internalize what it actually means? If something having to exist in that space where we submit, and you can see this as everything that's helping you because it's a part of how things are supposed to be as sort of guided by the Almighty. Like, I mean, if you can actually internalize those things, it's very comforting, but we've got to practice it all the time, you know?
Correct,
and,
yes.
Obviously, certain techniques like, obviously, dhikr and meditation and things like that help you get in tune with this.
You do dhikr?
Hey, I don't, but like my wife is trying to get me into it. Eh?
Oh, you're serious?
Yeah,
okay.
But I do recognize, right. I firmly believe that thoughts are real. I do. I believe thoughts are real. I'm not, no jokes, thoughts are real. Like, that's why we say everything is judged by his intention. Like, because that is what is real.
Correct, yes, right. But you cannot do it this way where you say, I have an intention to go to dhikr and I don't go. But I still get it because I intended.
No, it's
so,
true intention.
I know you're going to think that way.
No, true intention.
True
because
intention,
if I'm not doing it, then I don't have a true intention. And you must call yourself on something. You say, you can't, I don't believe that you can say you believe something and then you're not doing it.
Correct.
Right? If you're not doing it, you don't believe it.
Correct, yes.
You say, I know this is supposed to be the right thing,
yes.
But if you're not doing it, you know, call a spade, that's what it is.
Correct.
You know, so like I know there's certain things that I would like to do, and I know that it's a good thing to do, right? But I don't believe it. If I'm not doing it, I don't believe it.
We've reached the time limit. Riaad, I think it was interesting. The discussion was interesting. I think our audience learned a lot. I know that they'll have an opportunity to come up a bit later and take some pictures with you because that's what they've been bothering about. We want to thank you for coming onto the program, and hope I've done justice to getting that information. I'm still just worried about the one question you don't want to answer, but you can tell me that one after the show. I see some people alluded to it. Riaad, thank you for being here. I think that going forward, I think the audience now knows that where the Muslink platform is going and what the focus is, and that's to celebrate Muslim excellence, and that's what we've done today. Well, that concludes the first episode of Muslink, celebrating Muslim excellence today with Riaad Moosa. On the next episode, you'll find him hosting the show, and hope that goes well with him. I know he's got a few guests lined up, Sonny Bill Williams, I think Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman and those kind of people. Thank you for joining us today. Goodbye.